this being, in fact, a very friendly audience. Because in some ways, both of our organizations are facing a similar set of problems, right? We're both struggling to deal with achieving the country's goals in an era of increasingly limited resources. We're both interested in building stuff, right? I mean, that's kind of what gets us excited. We like to build things. We recognize also that when we build stuff, it's, the point is not just the building, but all the interesting things that happen as a result of the building. The impact that, building either a community or a road has on the economy, the impact that it has on people's ability to achieve their personal goals, the impact that it has on other social objectives or environmental objectives. I think we both recognize that that the building isn't an end in itself, but rather a means to help communities achieve their larger goals. And I think we're also both frustrated by really unproductive planning processes, that the agony and the time and the unproductiveness that has to go through in the path from conceiving whether it's a great community or a great street or a great highway, and actually delivering that project, that it takes far longer than is necessary, and the process that we have to go through in order to get from A to B doesn't necessarily result in a better product. In fact, oftentimes it results in a worse product, having to meet all of the environmental regulations and the planning process and the public consultation process, each of which was put in for very well-intentioned reasons, but may have all kinds of negative unintended consequences. So the challenge that I'd like to present for this lunch is how can, well, as we try to frame the title of this session, how can new urbanists work with you to create better highways, more cost-effectively, faster delivered? And how can you work with us in order to have highway engineers that are better trained and more capable of delivering greater communities, as well as have us design communities that, for example, pay attention to vehicle miles traveled, so that we're not creating an undue burden on highway engineers that is no longer funded. Why are we designing communities where we're requiring all people to drive long distances to get the things that we need to do when we no longer have the money in order to build the highways in order to accommodate those trips? So let me open this up with that question.
Well, it's a great pleasure to be here. Let's see if there's any pies thrown my direction. I represent all 50 state DOTs. AASHTO is their national association. We have been the technical agency representing highways and bridges in terms of setting standards and setting engineering design standards for 100 years. That's the original purpose that AASHTO was formed to do. There wasn't originally a U.S. government that played a strong role. The states were the leaders, together with their communities, built their roads community by community within a county and then statewide. So the states played that role back in the early part of the century. I was hired in '98 to help AASHTO play a more policy leadership role, not just engineering. We continue to be the engineering leader in highway and bridge design worldwide. We're proud of that. But I was hired by our membership to strengthen our policy role. And I'm glad to see two of my advisors here. Jackie Grimshaw in the 90s, she and Scott Bernstein held US DOT's feet to the fire. Will you please get your act together and listen to communities? And we were instructed and tried to do that. And then Gary Toth, sitting next to Jackie, was a leader from New Jersey DOT who came to us and then later went to the Project for Public Spaces, and I'm delighted to see he and Fred Kent and that crew working together. because what they determined in Jersey is there has to be a better way. And Jeff, what you put your finger on, I think, is the nexus that's going to bring us together better than any dynamic that I've seen in the last 20 years, and that is the issue of financial sustainability. States are broke, cities are broke, counties are broke. We can't build the stuff in the old way because we can't afford that, the land use pattern of sprawl, and I think this era, and I think this era of fiscal constraint is going to be with us at least for 10 years. We just don't see any light at the end of the tunnel at the federal level to add resources. We're going to fight like mad to hold on to what we have, but fiscal constraint is going to be the characteristic at the county and city level for the foreseeable future. And if your design drive can insist on or point to your alliance with DOTs as their friend to show them a way forward, I think they're going to appreciate it. Now let me tell you, there are two openings that I've seen recently that show that states either are already there, some states are already there, and then our leadership nationally gets it and have plans and things to do that we may want to bring the Congress of New Urbanism to be our ally. The first thing I heard about when our staff saw this assignment, they said, well, what can we tell you to tell these folks? We pointed to the, what do you call that thing that New Jersey, Pennsylvania and New Jersey in 08 did a smart transportation guidebook. Al Beeler was our national president back then. Al was the Secretary of Transportation in Jersey. Jersey had been infected by Jack Latier and Gary Toth back when they were leading, and they followed through on this. But what they did is they created a manual to provide policy leadership for both of those states in dealing with design issues that said, tailor solutions to the context, plan all projects in collaboration with the community, plan for alternative transportation modes, and scale the solution to the size of the problem. Well, what Jeff has been telling me and other people, Rick Hall has been telling me, I listened to your patent routine, Rick, and my staff is saying this is what you're going to be hit with, is the National Green Book, the level of service standards, the functional classification, all these things that we're so very proud of are being misused to block progressive design. And does it have to be that way? And what we determined in the case of New Jersey and Pennsylvania when they created this smart transportation guidelines is they looked at what they were trying to do up against what the Asheville Green Book said you had to do, and they had to only make one minor change to get around the Green Book. And what people don't understand is the Green Book, our manual on highway geometric design, is not one standard fits every solution. It's a range of standards nationally, and then every state is at liberty. They're not forced to mimic or ape what's in the guide. They each can adjust their state standards to what is suggested by the Asheville standards. So it's a range of choice. But it's fascinating in doing the progressive approach that what New Jersey and Pennsylvania sought to do. They only had to make one minor change relative to the Green Book. Well, Jeff, let me make one other point and then we'll get back into dialogue. The second thing that my staff pointed out is now moving. The Green Book is a product of our subcommittee on design. We have, within our structure, we have major committees, the state's engineers and other leaders throughout the state bureaucracy staff a whole series of important committees. The most dynamic and important committee, I think, is our Standing Committee on Highways, and then there are 9 subcommittees within that group, and the Subcommittee on Design writes the standards in the Green Book. The chair is Barry Shoke of Pennsylvania, and the vice chair is Rick Land of California. They were approached by the League of Cities and the American Public Works Association. Was it something I said?
Don't do that again.
Anyhow, our subcommittee on design was approached by the League of Cities and the American Public Works Association with the very issue that Rick was presenting earlier. The level of service standards and your classification system is being used as a roadblock. And so they came to our committee and said, can't you fix this? And what the subcommittee has agreed to do is seek research funding, and we do an annual competition for research funding. We have a $30 million annual research pot, National Cooperative Highway Research. So the highest priority this next March for the design subcommittee is going to be to launch a project requested by the APWA and the League, and it is to develop a more flexible and context-sensitive functional classification system for geometric design. Requested by the cities and APWA, supported as the highest priority by our subcommittee. We will go after the funding in March. Hopefully it'll be funded,